All right. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. And in today's video, we're going to continue working on my light infantry and my Swiss. But I'm getting ready to glue them onto their bases, right? But the dry time of my, I put Mod Podge in this. This is actually Mod Podge, not Elmer's. The Mod Podge dry time is an hour or so. And so it's not going to take me an hour to put these figures on their bases. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to start working on another group of miniatures. I'm not exactly sure which ones I'm going to work on, but I'm prepared to work on some American War of Independence. Mainly, I'm working towards the Battle of Freeman's Farm. Yeah. But on the other hand, I was thinking I could also work on some Napoleonic figures of my own, because I want to do Quatre Bras eventually, and I'm a bunch of battalions shy of Quatre Bras. And Quatre Bras is a relatively small battle. It is a corps of French against, okay, let me rephrase that. It's like a reinforced corps. So like a corps and a half, because it has some guard cavalry attachments. So it's like a corps of infantry. The second corps, I think it's Riley. And then Kellerman's third guard cavalry corps, which is not really a full corps. He only brings like 2 divisions, I think, something like that. So, in effect, the French have a total of like 6 divisions attacking the Allies, which it's the first Allied corps with Orange defending, but really it's only like 2 divisions, and then gradually over time more divisions are added as reinforcements. They funnel in. To turn the tide of the French and defend the town of Quatre Bras, the crossroads. But basically, if I had to think about it, they have like the 5th and the 6th. A Dutch-Belgian division. And then the guards, so that's 4. Yeah, I think and the Brunswickers. So they've got like 5 divisions. Just not all at once. Now these figures are finished. Obviously, I wouldn't be pulling them off of their tape, but they're not fully dry. I applied a dull coat on them this morning. They're dry to the touch, but I know the dull coat takes about 6 hours or so to really dry thoroughly. And if I was to go and put flock on there, there's potential that it'll stick to the dull coat. So I don't know. It's been a few hours since I put the dull coat on there. Now, I think I'm going to do the AWI. And I think I'm going to do Continentals. I could do some more British. I've only got like 2 or 3 regiments to do on the British. Oh, I got Hessians. I got to do the Brunswickers. Yeah, I've got a couple of units of those I've got to do as well. I don't know. When I get these mounted, we'll take a look at my army list for Freeman's Farm, and we'll try to pick out some units that I could start today. All right, now if you guys are curious, this is 3M double-sided tape that I use to affix my miniatures to popsicle sticks, right? And then that's how I prime them and paint them while they're on the popsicle sticks. And then once I'm done painting them, I peel them off of the popsicle stick, and sometimes the 3M tape stays on the stick. And the figure peels off of the tape. But other times, like today, the tape just came off with the miniature. So I just got to peel the tape off the bottom of the miniature. And once I get the texture paste on there, that's when I put the flock and all that on there after the texture paste. But once I get all of it finished, I will do a video called What Have I Done? And I accentuate it like it was an accident, like, what have I done? But these models, because they're going on sale and they're not part of a project, they fall into the what have I done videos. What have I done is commissions and store for sale on the store. If I'm doing it for myself, it'll fall into a project category. Like those AWI I'm getting ready to do fall into my personal AWI project. Excuse me. Now, I'm considering painting some Napoleonics or rebasing some Napoleonics. Okay. All of those are ready. I'm basing these on 40 by 40s for black powder. I considered just putting together a bunch of Napoleonic figures and basing them on 1-inch circles as skirmish gaming, because there's games out there like Sharp's Practice or Chosen Men or something like that that you can play with individual models because it's a skirmish game. But I decided against it. I decided to go ahead and do a complete unit for black powder. And this is the first time I've ever done a Swiss unit. Ever. In my illustrious career. I learned a little bit about colors and stuff like that for the Swiss. I'm trying to be conscious of if I put these guys on a base, are their bayonets going to interfere with the unit in front of them if they have to be set up in a column? That's why I'm turning that figure like that. Okay. Mainly because, yeah, that won't be a problem. Okay, that should be good. There's a lot of these guys with um, rifles sticking out and stuff like that. And if they have their bayonet, like they're charging and they got their bayonet low, I'm not sure if I want to put it over the right side of the figure or I think I do. There we go. Okay. That's perfect. And then finally, a lot of these guys look like they're not even aiming or firing. But I'm going to put the muskets forward like that. All right. Okay. Not concerned about those. Okay, that works. Okay. All right, good. They all line up. Okay. I don't want there to be any doubt. Okay, good. They all work. See this guy? It's going to be a problem. All right. Okay. Now I got to sit and I got to wait for these guys to dry before I can work on them anymore. So now I just want to start working on some other models. Maybe for my Freedom's Farm. Okay, so let me adjust my layout here a little bit with cameras and stuff so that I can pull up a what I'm working on. Let me get this out of the way. For my Freeman's Farm so that you can see. So bear with me. I'm going to move this camera out of the way. I'll put it back when I start working on the figs. Let me move. Okay, let me hit OK on that and move this and this. Waterloo project? No, AWI project. That's probably correct. Freeman's Farm. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay, I should have a Marshals and Generals? No. Army lists. Maybe it's under that. It is actually under that. Okay. There we go. Okay. Ignore everything on the right side of this double line because that's Warlord Games Freeman's Farm. And this over here is my Freeman's Farm. And you can see that everything in blue I already have finished. Oh wow, I've only got the Canadians and one Mass, a New Hampshire. Okay, so maybe I don't want to do those. And on the British side, I only have the Lights, some Indians, and the 21st. And okay, I'm way further along than I thought I was. Okay, this is awesome actually. I do have 3 brigades I need to do of Brunswickers. I need to do the Grenadiers. I need to do some Jaegers, and I need to do Specht. I don't know what I want to do. I'm thinking the 21st and the Lights. Because they would be fairly easy to build or paint. They're just like red coats. The Mass, there, I believe the second Mass is in blue coats. And did you ever watch that TV series? Shit, what was it called? It was about an alien invasion. And the resistance called themselves the Second Mass. Oh, you're there. Okay, got it. Okay. Now the Canadians, I think, are wearing brown coats. And the New Hampshire, 2nd New Hampshire, I believe, are wearing like light blue coats. So they're kind of special. And then these are like your generic continental style uniforms. And these are your generic musketeer uniforms. I wonder if the Grenadiers and the Jaegers. No, the Jaegers wore green coats, right? So they'd be a little bit different. I could probably do a little bit. I could probably throw the Jaegers in there and do them at the same time and just make sure I get all these guys done. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to kind of take a look at that. Okay, they're spelling it like wackadoo. Saratoga, perfect. But I didn't mean to do that. Let's back up. Let's get out of that. Let's go to images. Um, yeah, the Von Barn. That's a light battalion, not necessarily Jaegers. Read somewhere that the Von Barns were not Jaegers. They were a light battalion. Now these guys, those are like Napoleonic Jaegers. Okay, now these guys look like Jaegers. The red and then the green AWI Hessians. Yeah, with the green and the red turnbacks and stuff. Okay, they'd be fun to paint. They'd be real fun, like these guys. They'd be really fun to paint. But what about the Grenadiers? Yeah, the Grenadiers are. Oh, yeah, okay, perfect. I like this website. That's Rawls Grenadiers. Oh, wait. Von Speck's Infantry Regiment of Brunswick, an officer of the Field Jaeger Corps. Oh, okay, he's in the back. I wish I could zoom in on that picture. Yeah, okay, Jaegers. I wonder if privates of von Rawls Grenadier Regiment, infantry, which you can barely see, and then this guy is an officer of the Field Jaeger Corps. But von Rawl was not the Jaegers at Freeman's Farm. Let's say Saratoga. Because that's a slightly different. Yeah, Brunswick Grenadiers. Here we go. And this is just some guy's interpretation, anyway. But I like them. That's a beautiful picture. Yeah, he did a good job. They're definitely 28 millimeters. You know, I tried Fireball Forward. I thought it was an okay system. Saratoga Project. Brunswick Troops. Also looking good. He's doing 5-figure frontage on a very wide base. Brunswick Musketeers. Okay, we got the Riddicel Spec Rets. Prince Frederick was not at the battle. Other regiments, von Barner, the Jaegers. Okay, that's what I'm working with. The Jaegers. Hesse Hanau, I think, were the artillery. Yeah, he's done some research for me. I appreciate it. But it doesn't say like who they are. I might have to pull out my book. Yeah. I think I can do the 3 regiments of Brunswick Grenadiers with their mitre caps, Jaegers with their green coats, and then Spec with his whatever color he's supposed to have. I can work with that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Okay, bear with me while I go grab my figures. I should have them already bagged up, ready to be painted. Buildings, bases, Napoleonics. Okay, AWI. Here we go. I'm under my British. Okay, take a look at this. I can't read it. This small print. Flags I can set off to the side. I can do them later. British Grenadiers. I got new British artillerists in Saratoga uniforms. If I ever decide to, there's light infantry. Not doing them. Got some 6-pound guns. I have a powder cart. More 6-pound guns. A water cart. Hessian musketeers. I think those are just loose musketeers, not the unit that I put together. There's the Welsh. I got some dragoon horse handlers when they dismount. The 17th Light Dragoons. Okay, British Line, British Grenadiers, British Command, Roundcoats. I'm all over the place. Okay, Indians. Here we go. Hessian Jaegers. Okay, what are these guys? Hessian Command. Okay, got some Peter Pig. I have a bag here called Fact. So these musketeers must be extra. Then I have something called Hessian Grenadiers, still in the old glory bag. Okay. Okay, let me pull this camera back out and turn it back on. And then we'll go to figure out how many figures of each I need to get. I think I might need to wash them too. There we go. All right. So if I remember right, my math, if my math is mathing, now understand there are light units that participated at Saratoga, and there were Jaeger units that participated at Saratoga, but both the units were very small, so I just combined them into one Jaeger unit to I didn't want to have two tiny units on the table. I'm just going to go with one standard size unit. Now the Jaegers, they don't have any bayonets. These guys are just using muskets. The short muskets, the carbines, or whatever they call them. The Fusil. Fusil was a smaller musket. You had musketeers that carried muskets. You had fusiliers that carried fusils, and fusils are a small rifle, basically. Well, it's not a rifle, but you get the idea. Okay. I don't think the Jaegers or the Lights carried standards, but that isn't. But I don't care if I have a Jaeger or a Light hypothetical standard. I'm going to give them a standard bearer because I think flags are cool. You might not, but I do. Okay, so we've got Hessian Prince Karl, Herb Prince, Lieb Regiment. Not using those. A bunch of British flags. Not using those. Some more British flags. Not using those. Because I have all these British flags because I plan to do more than just Freeman's Farm. You know, in the future. I'm going to expand my collection or whatever. Okay, now we're looking at Cotton Gin. They got a bunch of regiments I'm not using right now. These are all British. Okay. Here we go. What is this Cotton Gin? Hessian Line 1 and 2 battalions. Prince Karl. Von Rudisell. Which I've already used a Von Rudisell. Prince Karl. Von Boss. And Lieb. These are very similar to the ones from the first set. Okay. And the last flag sheet is Rudisell, Murbach, Prince Frederick, Ansbach, von Ditfurth, and Herb Prince. Okay. There is no or I have no Grenadier or Jaeger flags. The Grenadiers, I do believe, are composite, which means they came from all the different regiments. Oh, there's a couple more in there. Hang on. Yeah, they came from all the regiments, and so they wouldn't have brought a standard with them. Okay, and this last one is Lieb de Corps, Herb Prince, Ansbach Raves, and von Speck. Okay, the spec one I'm going to be using. But I guess the Jaegers and the Grenadiers are knocking out flags, which is perfectly fine by me. Okay, now I think my Jaegers, it's 3 bases. So that is 18 models, right? Because there's 6 figures per base. Yeah, this is more than I'm going to need. I could do 4 bases. Yeah, I can do 4 bases worth, which is fine. That just means I'll have an extra base that I won't be using. I'm going to do all of them. Okay, spec. They have the bicorn as well, because they're musketeers. Okay, there's a drummer. There's a sergeant, a standard bearer, and an officer. Okay. And 2 more figures to make a total of 6. And there's 6. And there's 6. Yep, so there's my total of 18 models for spec. Now let's take a look at these Grenadiers. I can easily identify because they don't have any command like this. And these guys all have bayonets. So that won't be too hard to figure out. Now this is an unopened Hessian Grenadiers. Well, it's open now. Now these guys all have miter caps, so it's going to make it easy to identify them when I go to paint them. Okay, there's a guy leaning and pointing. He should definitely, well, there's a guy with a sword. Oh, and not a miter cap. There is a drummer. Trying to see if there's a standard bearer. There is a standard. Ah, there is a engineer or a sapper. It's a guy with no hat. Okay. Couple of them. Different poses. See, the reason why I'm kind of concerned is because I'm planning on washing them, and I'd like to wash them all in one bowl instead of keeping them separate from these guys. Okay, well, let's just count these guys. Probably 24, which makes 4 bases. So there's one extra figure. That's awesome. I got one extra figure. Yeah, so this bag came with 25 guys. All the miter caps are going to be easy to figure out. The guys without hats, I just know they're going to be part of the Grenadiers. The only one I'm concerned about is this guy, but I don't think I'm going to have a problem identifying him. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 bases of these, 4 bases of these, and 3 bases of those. And I'm not going to use my Peter Pig command. Huh. It comes with 3 standards, 1, 2 drummers, here's that, a sergeant, a couple of sergeants, three sergeants, 3 standard bearers, and 2 drummers. But I don't need these. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put you on hold just for maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to take all of these models and I'm going to go wash them in soap and water. And then I'll be back in just about 5 minutes. Probably about 5 minutes. It won't take me that long. So, let me get the bowl. Yeah, I use just a simple bowl, and I use soft, a fairly soft bristle 1-inch paintbrush to agitate them and scrub them while they're in the bowl, soaking in the soap and water. All right. I thought I picked up all my Ziplocs, but I guess I didn't. All right. Be right back. These guys are washed. They're still, it's still wet. They're not dry. If I had like a air blow dryer, I could just blow dry them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these on the table. I'm going to spread them out so they can dry. Okay. Now there's one thing I'm looking for. It's up here. Okay. Got a coffee cup. There's nothing that is. Today it's like hurry up and wait day. Okay, we got to chat. We just say. See if I can read that with my reading glasses here. Let me put them on. It says, hello again, friend. Hey, Hive Mind, what you up to? I'm working on models today. French Light Battalion. It's a fourth regiment, and I got a Swiss 1st Regiment of Swiss. We're gonna be, or I'm gonna be, working on some American War of Independence. That's what I just washed. But before I do that, I'm going to put some of this paint away because it might be in my way. That definitely doesn't belong there. Okay. I'll put it right there. Necromancer's Cloak. What a good name for a paint. Okay. This belongs in there. Okay, whatever. And this belongs right there where that one's in the wrong place. But that's all right. It's all close enough. Okay, so I got the paints put away. Okay, so while we're waiting for these to dry, because as you can see, they have not dried yet. You can see the white of the glue. So, and while we're waiting for the AWI Hessians to dry, I decided it's going to be a good time to clean some of my brushes. So I got this coffee cup. It's one I use quite frequently to wash brushes. I'm going to use a potion. I'm going to use magic gel. And I think I'm going to use a soap. But I don't need to use a soap if I use magic potion. Okay, these are all... Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some boiling water in this. And I'm going to soak a brush or two in my shop towels. These are the best. I probably can do about 5 brushes before it cools down too much. I can always put it back in the microwave. But we're going to clean these brushes. I don't think I've got any brushes in here that need cleaning. Not like these guys. There might be a few in this, but we're going to push that off to the side. We're not going to worry about it. We're just going to worry about these brushes right here. Now, I thought about using this coffee cup, but then I said, nah, can't do it, won't do it. Okay, this isn't one that needs washing because I never use that brush. I don't know why it's even in there. Most of these have already been cleaned, but some need a thorough cleaning. Yeah, I was just checking to see if there's going to be enough room on here. There's not. Because I found that this is kind of like a very mild acid. And if you get it on, like let's say you get it on the green and they touch, if they sit there and they touch, they will stick together. They will melt together a lot like plastic cement. So you got to have them spread out quite a bit. So I might need 2 of these. I'm not using that. I will be using this. Yeah, these guys are going to be in the way. I wonder if I should move them off to the side just to get them out of the way. I think the answer is yes. Now the question is, am I going to be able to put these in here without messing them up? I think so, because I think the Mod Podge has dried enough that the figures are pretty much locked in place. Yeah, they're pretty. As long as I don't drop them or do something heinous with them. This one's metal. This has got some front rank. Yeah, like I said, it normally takes about an hour for the glue to dry. But it's already been over, well, maybe not. It's probably been about a half an hour. But I could have been exaggerating. It might take 2 or 3 hours for it to really dry. Sometimes I'll put the paste, I'll put it on there before it gets fully dry. That's probably a mistake. I probably should let those guys fully dry before I put any paste on there. Sometimes I can't help it. I just can't help it. And this is the primer I'm going to use on those Prussians. Or no, I call them Prussians, but they're Hessian. Hessians, as some people would call them. I don't call them Hessians. I call them Hessians. Okay. And then I'm going to need another piece of paper towel to wipe these on, hopefully wiping off most of the paint or whatnot or what have you. Okay. Come on, sons of bitches. Okay, just trying to make sure I've got enough room where they're not touching. I think we're going to be just fine. And then I can work over here. Wipe that off. Okay. Well, let me put some water in this. Let me get it boiling. And then I'll be right back with some boiling hot water. And we'll do this in probably 4 batches. Probably. Like I said, guys, today is a hurry up and wait day. Now I gotta wait for that water to boil. While we're waiting for the water to boil, I'm actually gonna take some packages outside. Um, that I need to ship. Some Russian World War II and some bolt action bases, and I'll be right back. That's where I'm heading. But when I get back, the water should be boiling, so we should be good. Sounds like it's close to boiling. I put the water in the kettle and letting it boil. I didn't put it in the microwave. I decided to take my own coffee mug, and I'll probably make myself some tea while we're at it. If I'm going to boil some water, I might as well, take advantage of it. All right, let me go check on the hot water. And yeah, I was afraid I was going to put the tea bag in the wrong cup. Uh, but I didn't. Okay, there we go. We're good. Got the boiling hot water. All right, got to switch glasses because I want to see what work I'm actually doing. Let's start with my favorite brand of brushes. All I'm doing is like rubbing. Oh, you could see. Okay, you can actually see pretty good. I'm breaking up the any loose paint that might be on the brush. Okay. Now I'm going to open the magic potion. Yes, I'm going to keep that over here too. I don't want to accidentally spill anything, so I got to be careful. Okay, now I'll get the water off and any loose paint that might have considered itself a home. And now all I'm doing is getting the magic potion on the brush, and I'm going to let it sit on the brush, and that's why I needed this room. I'm going to let it sit on the brush while we progress. And I watched somebody, I don't know if it was an official from AK or Battalion 502, but he said to put the brush inside the potion, use a clamp or something to keep the brush from falling to the ground, and let it sit in there overnight. Well, he actually he said 24 hours. I ain't doing that. Okay. So the hot water should loosen up any paint that is in there. And then whatever the hot water doesn't loosen up, this Battalion 502 magic potion should get in there and dissolve it. Now you'll notice I'm not wearing my gloves that I normally wear, because if that magic potion gets on the gloves, they melt. They just like they stick together, they melt. It's not a good scene. I don't even know how good this coffee cup is. I don't know if it retains the heat. Just lukewarm. But warm is better than nothing. Yeah, I'm noticing some of the magic gel is still on some of these brushes. Yeah, I think that's blue paint, actually. I don't think that's magic gel, because it was on the flume. Okay, well that was actually a really good, what do they call it? a successful cleaning or whatever. I don't know. Now these Nick Pro brushes, I found that they hold a good point. They usually last um, I like them quite a bit actually. And what's funny is they're just a Walmart, not a Walmart, they're a Amazon brand, Nick Pro. And you can get them in sets. Small brushes, big brushes, or whatever. Fine tips, loose, big, wide, whatever. They make them all. I usually get the fine tip modeling brushes. And I highly recommend them. Oh, got a little bit of something off of there. A little bit more. Okay, well, we're going to go with the acid. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to go boil this water again. Now, you'll notice a couple of these brushes are from Airbrush Tower. They're cheap. And just remember this motto that I've always had: you get what you pay for. They're cheap because they're cheap. But they're still good for painting if you don't need a beautiful brush, if you just need something to get paint on a model. They're awesome. Look at that. That's got its point back already. All right, so it looks like we're gonna have to boil some more water because I don't think this is warm enough. Give me a second. I'm gonna put this in the microwave for like 1 minute and then I'll be right back. Okay, I was watching this sucker boil, bubbling up to the top. All right. So there's a couple of brushes that are really, they need work. So I'm going to do them first with this hot boiling water, namely this guy. And also you gotta spin it and twist it. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing it up against the edge of the cup and I'm spinning it so that it gets kind of breaks it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Um, Agitates it, but you can't just stick it in and then be done with it. You gotta let it, you gotta let that heat work. So maybe fiddle it around for a minute or so. Until that paint starts to loosen up. Well, I can see the bristles are very flexible and they're moving around, but they still have that white color because that's the last paint that I used. Now, you might have noticed that I pinched it in between the paper towel using my fingernail. I'm kind of scraping a little bit on the the bristles, but I'm doing it very lightly. I'm not trying to rip any of the bristles out of the flume. I'm just trying to help along any loose paint that wants to leave the brush. Okay, that's probably good enough for the hot, or I should say, as good as I'm going to get it. Now, hopefully this magic potion will melt that last bit of white that's on there. Okay, we're just going to let that sit and melt. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to work with my tea. I've got some puka tea. I don't know what flavor this is. It might be vanilla. Doesn't say. My wife bought some puka tea, and it's actually really good. Okay, bear with me. Okay, now what's another one that really needs work? Probably this guy. I'm working this magic potion into the bristles by rolling it against the bottle top. What do they call that? The throat? The neck? And then letting it melt. Another brand of brush that I really like are these Transon brushes. Transon Art, I think is what they are. Yeah, they come in sets as well. Very similar to the Nick Pro. Good quality. But I think the Nick Pro hold their point a lot better than the Transons. But I've been using Transons for years now, and so it might be a little biased. I don't know. What I think I need to do is just get a brand new set of Transons and a brand new set of Nick Pro, and then use those brushes exclusively, and then see which one loses its point first. You know, give them both a couple of months of use. See, this one looks like it's brand new. But I've had these Transin brushes for over a year now. But that's because I take care of, or try to take care of my brushes. Okay. We're going to start a second row. But I'm going to work from that side back this way. Okay, how about this guy? And this brush is, I don't even know what this brush is. The Artesian Shop. I don't even know where that brush came from. I'm working on my 2 O's and my 3 O's because that's what I like to paint with the most on my 15mm guys. Sometimes a 5-0, but very rarely. Okay, well this Nick Pro brush has seen better days. I'm sure I can get a point back with both Magic Potion and Magic Gel. And I'm one to only do it once, to clean the brush, you know, only once. But it recommends to do it 2 or 3 times if it's a really difficult brush. Like if the point doesn't come back after the first attempt, do it a second time. Or a third time if you have to. Sometimes you'll get paint up inside the flume because you put the brush too deep into your paint and it got into the metal part. If that happens, the brush is almost guaranteed to be ruined. Not much you can do about it. Okay, this one's a 4-0. Not even a 5-0. Let's see if I can rescue it. Another cautionary tale is if you have boiling water and you're soaking your brushes in them like this, you have to be careful not to do it for too long, because if the heat gets into the flume, there's a potential that it'll melt whatever glue is inside here. And then your bristles will start flaring. So only a minute or so. All right, you Transin 5-0. I bet you the water's cool off. No, it's pretty hot. Okay. It's not boiling, but it's still warm. Oh, this 5-0's got its tip back. I'm trying to avoid all the second-rate brushes. Okay, who makes this brush? The label is worn off. I think it's a Nick Pro because of the color of the handle. Okay, I'm going to work on one of these really flared out brushes. Yeah, I can see the paint is very subtle on the bristles. Look at the point. I've got it almost super sharp. But I'm not done with it. I still have to use the magic gel. The magic gel is what I use to get the point back. The magic potion is what I use to get any paint residue off. So it's kind of like a two-step process. Where this is a three-step process by adding the boiling water. Okay. This number 2 transit, I almost got a point back. I did have a point back. Okay, I went deep on that one. I probably shouldn't have gone that deep. But that's why I got paper towels out here. Airbrush, airbrush, and then the art shop or whatever this is. Yeah, my AWI Hessians are probably dry enough to do what I want to do next, and that's file their base so they can stand up nice and smooth. That's the next step for them, but I don't think I'm going to do that today, or at least not on camera. This is actually a good looking brush. It's a 00 airbrush tower. Even though I don't like, what do you call it, ruin them, I still want to clean them. I try to clean my brushes every month. Well, first of all, I clean it after every use just by using soap and water. But I try to give them a thorough cleaning like what I'm doing today once a month just to keep them in shape. Okay, I think the issue with Airbrush Tower is not the quality, if that makes sense. I think it's the type of bristle. I think Airbrush Tower uses like a sable or a horsehair, and it's very, I don't know what the word is, very unforgiving or not flexible or not, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. That's a perfect point right there. That's beautiful. And most of these are synthetic. And synthetic brushes, I feel, are better for miniature painting, that is. When I was young, you know, like in the 70s or the 80s, sable brushes were all the rage. But then eventually nylon kind of took over. That's a beautiful point too. Okay, Airbrush Tower, I might have to apologize for bashing you, saying that you weren't that good. but they seem to have a really good point. Okay, so that's it, or the end of it for the magic potion. I'm going to let these guys sit in there, let them soak in their juices. Not very long, 15, 20 minutes or whatever. These guys are probably long enough. What flavor is that? Cinnamon? I don't know. Vanilla? Cinnamon vanilla? No, I don't know what it is. But whatever it is, it tastes good. Okay, I'm going to leave that water there because what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to wash off the magic potion before I use their magic gel. And Abtelong 502, right? Right, that brand. And if you notice the logo and German Battalion 502, that's actually a fairly famous, I think it's a Stug battalion. I want to say Stug, but it might have been Tigers. I don't remember, but I think it's Stugs. And I also think they participated in the Battle of the Bulge. And that and of course I think they participated in the desert. And that is their divisional or battalion logo from World War II Germany. I think it's pretty. I think I don't mind the company calling themselves 502. They might have the owner or the guy that made the company, his father or whatever, might have fought in World War II, or his grandfather might have fought in World War II as in that battalion, and he wanted to honor his father or his grandfather or whatever. I think that's pretty commendable. That little elephant. What I don't like is there's no instructions. It doesn't tell you how to do it. It just says harmful to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. May cause skin reaction. Yeah, that's all it says. It doesn't say soak it for 24 hours. It doesn't say, do this, do that. You just kind of basically have to figure it out on your own. Okay. So now we're going to do brushes like this. U shape. U shape. Okay. It's a very nasty gel. Oh, I'm noticing where I had this, there's no dust. But then again, there's no real dust on the top of that anyway. Okay, whatever. Okay, so now we're just cleaning off the magic potion. Mainly because I don't want it to be on there melting the bristles or getting into the flume and melting the glue or anything. I just want to clean it completely off. And I'm noticing dirt coming off. That's great. And then so what I do, some people don't do this, but I do it. I spin it against the edge of the tub, and I make sure that this gel gets all up in their business. This is like Nickelodeon or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like nasty. Smells horrible too. Actually, I haven't noticed that smell before. You know what it smells like? It smells like a clean home. You know, like not Clorox, but like a maid had just come through and cleaned out your house. I don't know how to describe it. It smells like soap. Let's say that. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm rolling the brush lightly, trying to develop a point. There's no point to it. Now, some people will tell you to put it in the crack of your skin, you know, to do that, and then kind of roll it to get a good point. But then what winds up happening is you get a lot of that gel on your skin. Yeah, that's not a point. It's kind of like a wedge. Okay, that's pretty good. Finished. Okay. And we leave the blue on the brush. Let it dry on the brush, and the brush will hold its point. And but before you go to use the brush again, you got to make sure you water it down. Clean the blue off, because there's always going to be a little bit of blue. Now this one was the one with the white paint on it. It was being very difficult. Maybe not. Maybe that isn't this one. But I do see a little bit of white on there. Aw, you bitch. Stuck to my finger. The green slime. Blue slime. And it's okay if a little bit of the blue builds up on the napkin, because then when I run it through there, some of it will stay on the bristles. Oh, there was a lot of it on this because it was dripping off of it. This is a 3.0 and it's already got a pretty strong point. So this is just extra. Yep, that's beautiful. Hmm. So when I get those Hessians done, I'll have the whole Hessian brigade finished. And I will be ready. And then I'll only have like 2 British units left. The Lights and the 21st. I think that's right. And so then the whole British side will be finished. Wow, I didn't realize how close to completion I was. But January and February, I took a break and just did 100 Years War. And I'd love to do a video showing actually how much 100 Years War I got done in 2 months. I got a lot done. I was actually surprised. In 2 months, I got like an entire Burgundian army and half of a British army and half of a French army. I wanted to continue, but I also didn't. I set a goal, a time limit, and I wanted to stick to it. And so I did. So I'll probably do some American War of... Okay, this is the one with the white all over it. The next 2 months, I'm going to do AWI. I believe that in less than 2 months, I'll have everything I need to do Freeman's Farm. I'll have all the buildings, all the terrain, all the trees done, tabletop, the river, all that stuff will be done in 2 months. So I should be able to actually play the battle using Land of the Free. But when I get done with the whatever happens in 2 months, the end of April, it'll be May, right? So I'll definitely start on some Napoleonics probably. That looks good. That looks really good. Okay. The now I've thought I was thinking that just hypothetically, if it only takes me like a month and a half to get all my Freeman's Farm stuff done, am I going to immediately jump into my Napoleonics? Or am I going to do additional units for AWI? Or am I gonna I think what I'll do is I'll keep that as a wild card. I might do some World War II. I might jump back to 100 Years' War. Or I might do Napoleonics. Or I might even do more AWI. Because there's a lot of units in the American War of Independence. But then again, there's also a lot of units in Napoleonics. And I think I've only got about 2/3 of all the battalions for Quatre Bras. Which basically is a corps and so I could play any battle that only uses a corps. I can proxy, you know? Just because it's called the second corps doesn't mean I can't play it as the first corps. You know what I mean? All those brushes have awesome tips. I'm very happy with the my results. Okay, we're working way back this way, right? Okay. That water's starting to bubble. So that means there's soap getting in there. Which there should be because I'm cleaning off the magic potion. Also, beautiful tip. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have enough time today to actually do any additional. Well, maybe. I can push it. I'm actually feeling really good today. This is a rare day where I'm actually feeling really good. Now, I've been thinking about what am I going to price my Swiss and what am I going to price my light infantry. I think the light infantry I can price less than the Swiss, mainly because it's mostly greatcoats. And greatcoats are pretty easy to paint. Mostly. Now, when I do commission work, I charge about $7 a model. And then I charge $1 a base. So if the battalion is 24 figures times 7. Oh yeah, and the flag too. I put a flag on both battalions. Flags aren't cheap. So what's 24 times 7? Is that 100 and no, 20 times 7 is 140. Right? Yeah, that's 140. And then and then 4 more would be 28. So what is that? 168. And then the 6 bases, the 174. And then the flag, 179. So I'm thinking the Swiss, I'm going to charge right around 179. Okay, that's not going to be a sharp point. Not unless I can really finagle it. Okay, this might be a finger crick. It's close. Okay, these are the 2 giant brushes. I think they're both size 2. Nope, this one's a size 1, but it's still a giant brush. It's probably a 1 round and not a 1 spot. And this one is a 2. And if I remember right, these two brushes, their bristles were like flared out. And now they have points. Okay, it's not a great point. But it's not bad. Yeah, now this brush, if I remember right, this brush, the flume came off of the handle. And I had to glue it back on. And you can see the glue underneath the flume. I used some Gorilla Clear Grip, if I remember right. Kind of like an all-purpose glue. And it gets stronger when it gets wet. Okay, this water in this coffee cup is not clear. So it has to have done something. I saw a beautiful tip on that brush, and I thought it would be better just to dunk it and let the blue stay on the brush because it's already got like a really sharp tip. All right, so those brushes are, as far as I'm going to go with them, clean for this month anyway. And have to dump this water. I can still see some white on these guys, but they it looks pretty clearish. It looks just milky. I could probably do some what do you call it? Ground texture on these guys. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, let me go dump this. Let me get the ground texture and I'll be right back. Okay, we're going to use mud. Well, we already knew we were going to use mud, but we're going to use this mud. Okay, I'm not going to be messing with that, so I don't really need to worry about that. Not going to be using these brushes. Don't need to worry about that. I'm probably going to use this 1 cent brush. I've got a bag of 100 of these for like $5, I think. I could probably get a couple more of them out. Because after use, they tend to flare out like that. And I haven't considered cleaning them because they're so cheap, I just throw them away. Okay, those are the two brushes. Okay, so I'm taking these out because once I get them textured, I'm going to put them right back in. And I'm picking these up gently because I don't think the glue is 100% dried yet. Okay. And what we're using today is Ammo acrylic mud, light earth. And here's some examples of their other colors. We got arid, dry, turned, dark mud, and muddy ground. I think I'm going to have to try this turned earth because it looks like it's the perfect color, in my opinion, the middle one. Turned earth. I guess that means that it's been dug up or it's been driven over or something. All right, my man. This will require a glove because I don't want to get that light earth all over my fingers. I probably could put it on both hands. Am I going to see what I'm doing? Or should I put on my magnifying glasses? Being extra careful because I know that the glue hasn't 100% dried and I don't want a figure to pop off while I'm working this. Now sometimes, depending on the ground texture color or its consistency, sometimes I will paint the tops of the figure bases so that if I miss a spot, it'll blend in. Or if the texture I put on tends to dry thin or transparent where you can see what's underneath, then I'll do that as well. But this is a fairly thick mud. There's no need to do that. It's thick, but it doesn't, it's not, it's not full of debris. Not like the Vallejo mud. If I wanted debris, I could always mix in some stuff. Some grass from the mowed lawn. Come on now, quit catching on stuff. Some twigs. Sprinkle in a little bit of floss or static grass. What did I say? Floss? I meant flock. Toilet paper. The problem with toilet paper, if you mix it in with your texture paste, it will dissolve. If you allow it to. So you'd have to be not putting it in the tub, but putting it on in a mixture that you're about to use, and then it's fine. But if you leave it in the tub, it will gradually dissolve. And then you basically won't have that potential texture. There are people out there doing model railroading and stuff like that. They will use toilet paper and PVA glue to represent deep bodies of water. Because as you know, PVA is going to dry clear and that toilet paper is going to dissolve. So it's good to make ripples in the PVA. The toilet paper will dissolve, but the PVA will still hold its shape. So you can make like coastlines and rivers and stuff. I personally have not ever tried that. But it looks pretty cool. Okay, I just got dirt on the guy's lapel here. He's been rolling around in the mud. So where in the world is there light ground texture like this? Spain? Italy? Russia? Portugal? I don't know. This texture is made in Spain. But I'd like to know, Egypt maybe? No, that'd be sand, right? That'd be like a yellow. I want to know where this light earth is located geographically. I probably should look that up. I know it doesn't matter on the game table. Nobody cares. Except for me. I'm that guy. I mean, it's not going to hinder my fun if I play a game and somebody's got his figures all based up like the desert and we're playing in the Arctic or something. It wouldn't bother me one bit. Actually, I'd be like, damn, you did a really good job on the stand. Let's just call it yellow snow. Don't eat the yellow snow. Okay, I'm not sure. But I guess if I'm not sure, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. That means I did it right. Does anybody out there that's watching this right now know geographically where this light Earth is supposed to be from? I could see the Mediterranean somewhere. I could see like Crete or. But I don't know. When I was in Macedonia, I didn't really pay attention to the color of the ground. Half the time I was there, it was all covered in snow anyway. I was a UN observer in the name of the country at the time was called, it's a mouthful, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. We weren't allowed to call it Macedonia because apparently the governments were still quibbling over sovereignty, and that's why we were there. Kind of like peacekeepers, but not really. If they didn't mess with us, we weren't allowed to mess with them. If anybody came across the border, all we were allowed to do was count them. You know, we weren't allowed to open fire or anything like that. I had a sergeant at the time that said, you know, because we went on patrols quite a bit just to find if there was anybody doing something they're not supposed to be doing. But he said if we ever came across anybody on the wrong side of the border and they looked hostile, we would open fire first. And I was like, okay. But that went against our rules of engagement. But he had apparently just came back from Somalia. Remember the whole Black Hawk Down kind of scenario? Apparently he was present when all that was going down. And he was like, it's not ever going to happen to me. That's not, we're not going to be helpless. I didn't fully understand what he was meaning by that. I mean, he told us horror stories about 50 caliber machine guns and stuff like that. How he would be one block over, he would fire, and it would go completely through someone's house and out the other side. There would be people on the other side telling him a little bit to the left, a little bit down, a little bit to the right. And he wouldn't even be in line of sight. He was just shooting through a building, relying on people on the other side to tell him where his bullets were landing. And I was like, damn. Because one thing, those houses weren't built to last. And a 50 cal is pretty devastating. But I didn't really fully grasp his horror stories until after I saw Black Hawk Down, the movie, and then I could relate to all of his war stories. And then I could relate to why he told us what he told us in an engagement. I think it's probably wrong to shoot first, especially when our orders are, we're not there to shoot, we're just there to watch. But I could understand why he would think the way he was thinking, if that makes sense. Basically, I'm just saying I can understand him. That doesn't mean I agree with him. Yeah, I've noticed that in the last 6 months or so, I've really started using a lot of MIG products. I'm using I started using their mud. I was using their paint. And I'm really, I think they got a high quality product. Apparently, MIG is the name of the owner or the founder or something. It's not like a MiG aircraft or a jigsaw or something or a welder. Ooh, that almost slipped out of my hands. Um, and it might be short for Miguel or Mikhail or something like that. I don't remember. But whoever he is, his company is doing good, I think. All right, so that battalion's got its mud. And the tub closes better than the AK ones do. AK, when if you put any water in it or if you just shake it up at all, it leaks. Apply textures, large surfaces such dioramas, vignettes, wooden bases, or cork to create an authentic range of mud effects. This product can be thinned and tools cleaned with water. Mix well before use. Colors may change when dry. And then the rest of it's in Spanish. Yeah, by Mig Jimenez. So that must be his first name. Keep out of reach of children. And there we go. Yeah, because it comes out kind of a gray color, but when it dries kind of a slightly darker color. You can kind of see. It does dry like that. But yeah, I think I need to get some textured. I got the Vietnam mud. It's kind of like an orange bricky red color. Really cool looking. And it's pretty much, you know where it's supposed to be from. Vietnam. So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, it says it's great for vignettes and dioramas. What it should say is it's great for basing models. Or ground texture for model bases. Well, last week I finished Medieval Knights. Those guys are up on the store. I thought about them because I used this color on one of the groups that I'm selling. Because I'm selling four different groups of 5. I had a guy inquire about whether or not I do painting. And as you know, I do commission work. And I replied to him that absolutely I do. And if you check out my YouTube channel, in the description, you'll see a price list. But basically, 15 millimeter models are $550 per model. To start. Because there's, depending on if you need flags or bases, or there's also shipping and stuff like that. So I sent a reply to him, and that was about a month ago. And then just last night, he responded, "Hey, do you paint figures?" Yes, and here's the prices, and this is where you can go to get the price list. And yeah, so either he forgot he asked, or he never got my response the first time, or but I responded directly inside the way he contacted me. He contacted me in private messaging in eBay. So I just replied to his message. He wants me to paint some knights. Dismounted knights, I think. Yeah, Old Glory Dismounted Knights. I think you get like 24 in a bag. So that'd be just over $100 at $5.50 a pop. $112 or something. I don't know, something like that. So I gave him the link. Well, actually, I didn't give him a link. I just gave him the title of my YouTube channel. And I said, go there. Mainly so you can see what kind of work I do. And is that something you're interested in? I know some guys that are like, let me word this the right way. They paint with a little bit more detail, right? Like they'll go into a figure and they'll paint eyeballs or something like that. You get what I'm trying to say. They'll paint buttons on the collars and stuff like that. But they charge twice as much as I do. So you do get a little bit more. So technically you do get more for a much higher price. I don't say this in my price sheet, but I probably should. If you want extra effort or like museum quality paint jobs, let me know, because that price is going to be much higher. But what I normally do is I'll paint for a customer the same level that I paint for myself as a wargaming standard. There are guys out there that say they paint to a wargaming standard. Well, that's okay. That's a legitimate claim. But their prices are way higher. What I probably should post is, and I'm just thinking of it now, what I probably should post is I paint to the same standard that I paint my own personal figures. This is not a Golden Demon Award. I paint models to play with. But I also am a very stickler when it comes to accuracy. That's a big thing for me. The right colors in the right places. I personally couldn't live with myself if I gave somebody a blue jacket that was supposed to have a red one. Unless it's a fantasy figure. In which case, I paint to the direction of the customer. If he wants a blue jacket, I give him a blue jacket. He wants a red jacket, I give him a red jacket. I had a dungeon master who knew that he knew that I painted, and he approached me and said, "Can you paint these 4 characters? These are my players, right? A dwarf, a wizard, I think one of them was a thief, and what was the last one? An Aasimar paladin or something like that." And I was like, "Absolutely, I would, and I'm only going to charge you $10 a figure, and I'll paint them, and these guys are going to look awesome. All I need to know is like what colors they are and how you want them painted and blah blah blah." So he gave me a list from the players of what they wanted on their miniature and stuff like that. I painted them, and I contacted him and said, "Hey, come pick these up. They're done. Remember, they're just $10 a figure." So these figures came in a set of 2, right? You like buy a wizard and you get like a low level wizard and a high level wizard model. And he only wanted 1 from the set painted, right? So there are 4 leftover models. And he said, "Just keep those extra models. I won't need them." "We just need the 4. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll be glad to take them off your hands if you don't want them." And then he came by and he paid me $20 per figure. And I told him, I said, "You know, these are only $10. You don't have to pay $20. He's like, "I know, but you did such a good job." I was like, "Oh, thanks. Awesome." So I got 4 figures and $20 per figure. So that's like $80 to paint 4 figures. I still think that's a little excessive. But there are people out there that charge that much. They charge that much to paint figures, and I'm like, how do you get away with stealing from people? Because to me, that's what they're doing. They're stealing. Okay, the ground texture is done. Then that doesn't, what do you think? That ground texture doesn't look bad, right? I mean, you can't see it, but I think that looks good. What do you think? You think it looks good? I think so. Okay, so the time is lunch. So I'm going to end the stream here. If I get around to it, I will file the bottoms of the models. I've got the file right here, ready to go. When that dries, I'll put the grass on it. And then what I'll do is I'll probably take some photos or video showing what have I done, and then I'll post them up on eBay. I'm looking forward to doing the Hessians. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. You guys hung out with me all morning, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you hanging out. And I'm going to take a look at light earth ground texture, and I'm going to try to figure out, like, geographically where that's located, and maybe I'll put that out on my next video, or when I do the what have I done. I don't know.